Lesson 1-1, the geometric system. Today's goals: apply axioms to draw conclusions. Identify examples of synthetic and analytic geometry. Today's vocabulary. Please repeat after me. Axiomatic system. Undefined terms. Definition. Defined term. Axiom. Postulate. Theorem. Synthetic geometry. Analytic geometry. Explore using a game to explore axiomatic systems. What are the characteristics of a good set of rules? Learn the axiomatic system of geometry. Geometry is an axiomatic system based on logical reasoning and axioms. The axiomatic system of geometry. An axiomatic system has a set of axioms from which theorems can be derived. Undefined terms. Words, usually readily understood, that are not formally explained by means of more basic words and concepts. Definition. Assigns properties to a mathematical object. Defined term. A term that has a definition and can be explained using undefined terms and/or defined terms. Axiom or postulate. Statement that is accepted as true without proof. Theorem. Statement or conjecture that can be proven true using undefined terms, definitions, and axioms. Undefined terms are used to write definitions. Undefined terms and definitions are used to create axioms. Undefined terms, definitions, and axioms are used to prove theorems. And here's a flow chart on showing it. Notice the undefined term goes to all three: the definition, the axiom, and the theorem. The definition goes to an axiom or to a theorem. An axiom only goes to a theorem. One real-world axiomatic system that is probably familiar to you is the set of rules to a game. The rules are the axioms, and they are used to evaluate the legality of each play. And then here is a story about a math historian. Example 1. Apply an axiomatic system. Animals in the fictional country of Rythoth, blue animals are from the mountains and red animals are from the valleys. These animals are categorized into 3 distinct classes: mammals, birds, and reptiles. Mammals are covered by hair or fur. Birds are covered by feathers, and reptiles are covered by scales. My advice is, next to each of the animals, label them according to the definitions that we have up here, the axioms. Part A. Categorize the animals. Write the name of each animal and the corresponding categories in the table. This is why it would help if you labeled them first using the axioms and definitions that we have here, then much easier to put them in their proper spot. Part B, use axioms. Use the previously given axioms and the table you filled in to draw 3 conclusions about the species of animals shown. The blank is a mammal from the mountains of Rhythoth. The blank is a reptile from the valleys of Rhythoth. The blank is a bird from the valleys of Rhythoth. Talk about it. What conclusions cannot be made from the provided axioms? Study tip. Theorems. Theorems or conclusions made from a set of axioms must be true in every situation. It takes only one example that contradicts the conjecture to show that the theorem or conclusion is not true. This is called proof by counterexample. If you can find one thing that makes it not true, then it can't be true. Check. Planets. The fictional galaxy of Yogol contains at least 20 planets, including Madhura, Suthura, and Kuthura. An animal can live on any planet in the Yogol galaxy that contains its biome. Lizards and scorpions live in the desert. Frogs and monkeys live in tropical forests. Bears and foxes can be found in the tundra. The biomes of each planet are permanent and will not change over time. And we're using this table to define what a desert, a tropical forest, and a tundra look like. Once again, I might encourage you to label and draw lines to show which each one is, so you don't have to go back and forth from the table. Use the axioms given to determine what conclusions can be made about the planets of Yogol. Select all that apply. Blank. Bears and foxes can live on Suthura. Lizards and scorpions can only live on Madhura. Only frogs and monkeys can survive on Kuthura. Bears and foxes can survive on Suthura at temperatures as low as negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. All animals can live on Kuthura. Scorpions and lizards can live on Madhura. To answer these, we would need to go back to the axioms and definitions given in the initial problem. Types of geometry. There are several types of geometry that are built upon different sets of postulates, including synthetic geometry and analytic geometry. Synthetic geometry is the study of geometric figures without the use of coordinates. Synthetic geometry is sometimes called pure geometry or Euclidean geometry. The key idea here is without the use of coordinates is synthetic. Analytic geometry is the study of geometry using coordinate system. Analytic geometry is sometimes called coordinate geometry or Cartesian geometry. Think about it. What is the advantage of using analytic geometry instead of synthetic geometry? Classify each figure as illustrating synthetic geometry or analytic geometry. So as you look at each one, do you remember the differences? I might help by saying that synthetic is, if it's synthetic, it's not real. Like a synthetic protein. Synthetic protein is not a natural occurring protein. Analytic is something that you can use to have analysis on. So the key, what it boils down to is there a coordinate system or no coordinate system? Meaning, is there a grid or not? Which one's which? Synthetic is the geometry that does not have a grid or coordinate system. Analytic has the coordinate system or the grid. So as you look at each example, think about, is there a grid or a coordinate system? And then write down the vocabulary word that matches that. Check. Classify each figure as illustrating synthetic geometry or analytic geometry. Do you remember what I said to think of when you hear synthetic geometry? Do you remember what I said to think of when you hear analytic geometry? As you're labeling each one, write down the vocabulary word that goes with it, reminding yourself about the relationship between them.